I want to have Lauren have a chance to speak because she was a panelist for this whole discussion. And if you would like to, Lauren, do you want to take a few minutes and talk about your book or react to what Rainey said?
Sure. Well, yeah, thanks, Rick. First of all, I have to say that my book would not be materialized. It wouldn't be about to be published if it wasn't for Rick. He's been championing this book for 20 years and, truly has been instrumental in helping me to write it. So I'm incredibly grateful, Rick. And he understood the idea 20 years ago. And Rainey, thank you so much for that very comprehensive talk. And I like the comment that somebody made that every one of these talks are interconnected.
Yes.
So I'm going to add a piece of that in terms of dreams and therapy. I'm a dream psychotherapist, and over 35 years, I've developed this tool called therapy, which is about combining traditional psychotherapy with mysticism. So just to touch on this a little bit, you were talking about the core healing is about getting balance. Well, our ancient roots of medicine go back to a demigod named Asclepius, who created dream temples. So our ancient roots of medicine came from the understanding that dreams are our internal healing system. And he established dream temples where people would go to lay down and have dreams, and either Asclepius would come as a symbol within the dream to heal them directly, or they would have a dream that they would then present to a dream priestess or priest, and that would be interpreted, and out of that interpretation would come the diagnosis and the treatment. So for those who don't remember their dreams though, I developed this tool, which is to use images to lay the unconscious on the table so that we can see our internal belief systems. And it's the idea that on the one hand, you could pick any image, right? And you're going to project onto that image because we project who we think we are onto the world, and we see the world through who we are. So we could project onto the image and then reflect on it, and all of a sudden open up conversation. I have found that in doing therapy and having people pick images, I can get more information in one session that would take months, sometimes years in psychotherapy, because images are the language of the unconscious. They are our maternal language. And so in laying out images, we are getting a picture of ourselves. Now, the other piece, which ties into what you were talking about, Rainey, is the field, is the idea that it's all consciousness. So our thoughts and the images that we pull are going to be absolutely connected to how we think of ourselves and who we are. So we are literally laying a picture of ourselves out on the table for us to look at and then reflect on. And we can also begin to work those images on the table to change our internal dynamics. So if you shift an image, you're also shifting your energy. And we use images images are the root of imagination. So what we're doing is we're using images to help stimulate imagination to create the picture we really want to have of ourselves.
That's what the shamans call courageous dreaming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the same practice of active imagination that you can do with dreams, you do with working these images on the table. So yeah, I could talk for hours about this. I don't know that there's more time.
But yeah, I remember watching the movie Inception. I know you probably, yeah. Now, and in it though, strategically, we don't understand that when we're dreaming, we are the authors. And we do have the capacity to adjust the particular direction the dream is going. I find myself doing it all the time. When the dream is headed in a way that I don't like, the conscious self will step in and say, I don't like where this is. I don't like how this is shaping up. And there's certain territories that I won't even delve into. because I
that's
mean, I'm, yeah, you know, and especially if it has us in some kind of, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like we have to take an aggressive, proactive position. But you know, many, in so, and even in the North American culture, there's not much time and emphasis placed on crafting, controlling, and manipulating, if you will, your dreams. They're just, I mean, and you know, and when they're more godly, you know, you tend to say, "Oh, and God has sent me this dream to share this information with me or that information." But maybe, perhaps, is sending this information to you so that you'll take an active role about how things happen. You know, and it's like my grandmother used to tell me when the thunderstorm came. She said, "Quiet, be quiet, let the Lord do his works." You know, I mean, metaphysically, you know. And so this, I mean, I think we don't understand how miraculously certain things can have control in our lives like that, and how it's important that we are aware and how we can take action with those things. And you bring an interesting insight in terms of, you know, that simple aspect. Those because it's a like an email. To my perspective, dreams are like emails. You know, and we act on emails, we act on memos. You know, I mean, how do you manage and control them in the right way? Is the point of reference. So great information.
Elton, if I can just add to that, when ego is asleep, we are connected to everything in our internal system, and we're connected to higher consciousness. So we're connected to this vast amount of information, wisdom, and intelligence. What I like to say is dreams are the psychic internet.
Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
Right.
Oh,
We are
oh.
connecting to our own godliness in dreams, and our dreams will show us exactly what's happening in the body, in the mind, what our beliefs are, and what's happening in terms of the larger collective. So, Rennie, when you talked about the collective nightmare we're having right now, dreams not only connect us to our, let me say this differently. Dreams come on behalf of our healing and wholeness. They are on behalf of our balance between conscious and unconscious. But dreams also come on behalf of everything. Since we're connected to everything, when we're dreaming, we're going to pick up what's happening collectively. We're going to be picking up what's happening in nature.
This
And
is one of the challenges of the empath, and or for someone who has worked hard to become more intuitive, is to determine, is this mine or is it not? And for me this morning, waking up and feeling the way I did, I don't believe it was mine, but I was able to work through it.
well, if I could just touch on one more thing, what you said about the collective nightmare is very meaningful to me, because at an individual level, a nightmare is what I call a wake-up call for healing. Nightmares come because we have disowned something of ourselves. And so the nightmarish figure comes back in order to integrate with us.
Wow.
It's like having to face our fears. So now we're looking at a collective nightmare. And I believe that one of the issues that we're dealing with in our collective nightmare with the pandemic is that we have separated life from death. As you were saying, shamans see life and death as the yin yang, the whole.
And
But
we have separated ourselves from God as well.
Right. We in our Western culture have separated ourselves from death, have tried to control death, are frightened of death. So
Yes.
death is now showing up in a frightening way, the way that
Sure
a
you're
nightmare.
not a shaman?
I am doing shamanic work, yes.
Really?
So that's how it's showing up for us to learn how to meet it differently.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of wisdom in everything that is happening right now, including the pandemic. That's a very smart little virus we've got going on. And we have an opportunity to slow down, to go inward now, and to learn how to face our fears. So I could go on. I'm going to stop because I
Yeah, I
want to
got
turn
you. Well, the process, yeah, but I look at the things that we're exposed to from a cultural point of view. Culturally, typically 1 in 10, 1 in 25 to 30 people probably one are aware of their dream world. I mean, their dream, and also their thought processes. I mean, if you have this series of thoughts coming through your head, and I mean, because I mean, an alarm goes off in my head when I get two or three thoughts of the same psychic model or the same process model. Well, what was that all about? I mean, because thoughts pop into your head, and and they're trying to tell you, God's trying to tell you something. If you're constantly in touch with God, I mean, and think about it. Now we're on this road. Everybody's on this road to, let's just say, peace, true and utter peace, total peace. You want peace in your house. You want peace in the world we live in, and we're far from it as a culture. Far from it. I mean, and so how do we get to the point where everybody that we meet is seeking peace? I mean, real transitional peace. And so, but in the process of that, there are obstacles. I'm African American, peace. Where do I get peace? So the point of the deal is, being aware of that and finding a space that helps us to proceed in the state of truth and the pursuit of truth and honesty among people and sincerity of belief and a holistic relationship model, or models. So these are things that if we as a conscious culture, we'll have to probably spend a great deal of time researching and resourcing those, especially as it relates to talking about dreams and being aware of them and keeping an inventory. Because I mean, your experiences with people, and there are things that we've experienced that we don't even know we experienced. But being aware of them. I mean, like talking to people, listening to people, and anybody can teach you something. Anyone, a little child can teach you something. It doesn't matter what their experience is, their age, their ethnicity, their gender, doesn't matter anything like that. Everybody can teach us something, but we always have to be aware, to listen, and to comprehend, because this is what might impact your road to peace and to true power and ultimate transition. I don't know if it makes any sense, but I mean, that's really, Rainey, the purpose for your session. And Lauren, I mean, but Lauren, you're presenting yourself, aren't you? You're presenting a portion, because I mean, as it relates to, you brought in an important element when you talk about dreams. You talk about dreams. I mean, as it relates to health, and balance, and because I mean, I want you to feel this. I want you to feel that everything that we're doing right here is to make you better, make you feel better, make you understand better, make you comprehend, make you be in control of your endeavors and initiatives, to make you what God's image of you will be. So just feel that. Feel that. Now, this is electronic, but I just need you to feel that right now. I need you to feel it. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? I really need you to feel that I want the best and the most for you in that kind of way. Is that all right?
Absolutely. And again, we're each presenting different facets, like a prism of that wholeness that we are, like a diamond. So the dreams are one aspect of our natural wisdom and our natural connection to God. And just let me say one other thing very quickly about the dreams, because a lot of people are having anxiety dreams right now. And there's a lot of writing about anxiety dreams ever since the pandemic started. But a lot of times they're just presenting how the dream symbols are related to pandemic. But what they're not presenting is the wisdom that's in every dream. Every dream contains the remedy. Every dream contains wisdom, because every dream connects us with our essential wholeness. And so we need to look for where those wisdom symbols are and then align ourselves with them. They are energy systems. Every image is an energy system. So again, for people who don't remember their dreams, I'll just finish the thought. Therapy is what I use, which is what I call a dreaming with your eyes open. Therapy is just like dreaming with your eyes open. It's just like a dream, and I can show you that in images if I have some time to do that. I'm so, again, grateful to Rick for helping me to bring all of this 35 years of my work in this area into a cohesive package with the book. So I want to turn it back over to Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
I want to say it's been really incredible working with Lauren, as it is with all of the authors I work with. I love working on books, and that's why I'm in the publishing business. I've been in the publishing business for 45 years, but for the past 20 years, I've specialized in nonfiction books on what you would basically call books that change the world, or that seek to change the world, that seek to present progressive ideas. And that's why I named my company New Insights Press. And actually, before I even speak about my own book and about teaching people how to write a book, I want to tell you about another one. This is another book I just recently published called The Guru on the Mountain. And we gave it a funny subtitle, Sugars, Lizards, and Desert Heat, My Vision Quest to Discover the Source of Spirit by Daryl Young. Daryl is a professor of archaeology and anthropology. He lives in South Carolina, but he has gone on a lot of American Indian vision quests. And this is a fascinating book where he talks about a specific vision quest that he went on. And it was not with any kind of drug. He simply spent 4 days in the desert and had incredible insights into the origin of human spirit. Could I just ask, Elton, I think it's your microphone. It keeps, if you put yourself on mute,
Okay.
I think because there's a lot of ruffling, and I don't know if it's your microphone or something. So, Daryl's book is really beautiful, and I helped him with this. And but I also, I work with authors. Like here's a book on leadership that I did with a former Major General of the U.S. Army, and he uses his book to develop a speaking career. He just retired from the Army, and he's selling his book to the U.S. Military schools, as well as giving talks. He is actually ended up getting invited to give leadership talks on a cruise in the Mediterranean. So he and his wife get a free cruise in exchange for him giving leadership talks. Here's a business book I did called The Surging Team, about how to, it's a business book on how to be a leader of a team. Here's a book that I did by an executive recruiter who recruits high-level C-suite people, chief operating officers, chief financial officers. It's his philosophy of how he works with corporations to find high-level people who fit the bill. He does a lot of psychometric testing. Here's another book on leadership called Leading with Purpose. Here's a book that we just published called Achieve Beyond Expectations, The Power Within. And it sort of fits into our discussion here too. This is an educational consultant who built a business as an educational consultant and did extremely well. But he believes that there are 5 intangibles that he calls that you have to master to go beyond what you expect yourself to be able to achieve. In effect, to be able to achieve way beyond what you normally would think. And those have to do with self-awareness, what he calls emotion commotion, your habits, which are your hidden mind chains, your expectations, your concept of self-efficacy, and how you train your brain. So it's a little bit of a new age book. Also, it's not woo woo, but it's bordering on the woo woo, but it's really wonderful. It's a really wonderful book. And then if you are interested in writing a book, here is my book that teaches you how to write a book. And Renee, I realized, Renee, you're still there, right? I know you're on mute. Renee, am I pronouncing your name right? Renee Jones Hudson? Yeah. I realized I'm using I'm using a laptop computer where the A key on my computer stopped working, and I forgot that. And so I was trying to type messages, and it's almost impossible to type messages without the A key. So so Renee, I will be in touch. I sent you an email. But anyway, on my book, on how to write a book, what I did is I tried to just make it as clear and simple as possible. And one thing is people like programmatic. So we called it 7 stages to finally writing and publishing your book. And that's actually one of the basic concepts of how to write a book, is you have to figure out how you're going to organize your ideas. How do you take a great idea and turn it into the chapters of a book? And the thing is over the years, I came up with 12 different ways that you can organize your ideas. And, some of these you certainly would know. I mean, one of them is what I call numeric. So you organize your ideas into 7 or 10, it's like 10 tips or 7 stages, or think of 7 habits of highly effective people, or think of, the 4 questions, or think of, the 4 agreements, or, you can organize your book, what I call numerically. You can organize your book chronologically, like 30 days, or, 6 months too. Or, you can organize your ideas thematically. You can organize your ideas into using a paragon. You can organize, when I say thematically, like Lauren's book is more or less thematically, there's a chapter, on the use of therapy for healing, the use of therapy for, various other elements in your life. So I have 12 ways in which you can write a book. And if you're interested in working with me, I will teach you those 12 ways. The importance of the 12 ways is that you decide, it's a combination of what organizational structure your book best fits into, as well as getting a sense of the market. Because if somebody else has a book, like think of the financial book, the famous, what is it? The book on 7 ways to can somebody, I'm having a senior moment here. What's her name? Who does the financial freedom? So it's like 7 ways to become wealthy. Sorry.
Susie Orbach.
Yeah, Susie Orbach. Her book on, but anyway, if you're competing against a well-known book, then you may not want to do that organizational. It may, it may be silly for you to try to imitate that organizational style. So you may need to pick another one. So it's a combination of how your ideas fit into things, as well as what the market is. One of the first things I tell people, and what my first chapter is about in the book, is you have to figure out why you're writing the book, because that influences a lot of things about your book. If you're writing the book strictly to mostly, to give it away to get clients, then you don't want a long book. For example, if your idea is the book is like your calling card, then you don't want to write a 300-page book that tells everybody how to do everything, because then they don't need to hire you. So if the book is to get clients, then you probably want a shorter book that sort of just gives them a little taste of what it is that you have to offer as a consultant. And then hopefully you use the book as a calling card to bring the clients to you so they hire you. But there could be other reasons to write a book. Dr. John, for example, who some of you heard this morning, I've done 4 books with Dr. John. He wants his ideas to be out there. He's not a consultant, and he is not interested in selling trying to make money by selling his consulting services about diabetes. He wants people to understand why they may be developing diabetes. And his first book, Eat, Chew, Live, is quite hefty. I think it's 300 pages and highly illustrated. He wanted people to really understand the science of why we get diabetes, because he has new insights. He doesn't believe in insulin resistance, but he has a new theory, which to me makes perfect biological sense. It's not a woo-woo theory, it's biology. And he came up with how it is that the body creates high blood sugar without insulin resistance. So the reason that you write the book, and my book explains 7 different reasons that you might be writing a book. Let me just get my note here. Okay, I won't name them right now, and it's not something, I have a lot of these senior moments, so I don't remember all 7 offhand, but anyway, there's many reasons that you can write a book, and that's chapter 1, is determine your rationale. After that, you have to decide, well, how do I write the book? Is it, am I the writer? Do I need to hire a ghostwriter? What kind of editor? If I'm going to write the book, then do I need an editor, and a really good editor? I am an editor, and I'm also a ghostwriter. So when I work with you, I give you options. I can help you write the book. I can be your ghostwriter. In the case of Lauren, she wrote the book herself, and she basically she has a beautiful writing style. I'm sorry, I have to say. And I was her editor. We did developmental work together. We had a lot of conversations over the years that she was writing the book and developing the ideas and figuring out how to turn it into chapters. But she wrote very beautifully, and I was just kind of like a word editor here and there. But there's other authors I work with who they need my support a lot more. And so I work on a spectrum of ways to help people. I call it a spectrum because it can be anything from just being a line editor to being to actually, you write the manuscript. I call it the 70-30, where you do 70% of the work, and you do 30% of the work and I do 70. You give me notes and I turn it into a manuscript, or I am your ghostwriter. You just give me the ideas and I'll write the whole thing for you. Of course, that's the most expensive. I mean, it's my butt sitting on a chair that does that. So, then, the chapters in the book then go on to talking about the other elements of the writing process. And then we also talk about design, how to design your book cover, how to understand, what makes a good book cover. There are a couple designers that I work with. One of them is here in LA, but I also work with a couple other designers in Milwaukee and another designer who's overseas. It depends on your price level and other factors. But your book cover, of course, is extremely important. It's the first thing that people see, and often is what makes them decide to buy the book, especially if they're only looking at the book on Amazon. It's the cover that attracts them to the book to begin with. And then my book has chapters that go into the other elements about book layout, proofing, and publishing. How do you publish the book? You can print 1,000 copies, or you can use Amazon's company called KDP, which is called Print on Demand. And I explain how all that works in my book. There are advantages to doing both. Then there's the distribution of the book and marketing and promotion, which I have a chapter that goes into explain all of that. How you decide to print and distribute the book also influences factors about how you write it and how you price it and who your market is and how much marketing you're willing to do. If you print 1,000 copies and you use a distributor, you do lose a little bit more money because the distributor has to make money. So the distributor takes a cut of all your sales. And that means that, if you print 1,000 copies, you also have to pay the printer up front. So you need extra money to pay a printer, pay the distributor to be in the catalog. The distributor has salespeople who go around to all the bookstores and sell the book. try to get your book into the bookstores if you want your book in the bookstore. But that means you have to spend a lot more money marketing, because the bookstores can return the book if it doesn't sell. So you got to make sure that you have the money to market to the consumer that goes to bookstores. If you are only using KDP and selling your book basically on Amazon, as well as maybe doing your own workshops and selling your book in the back of the room at your own workshops, that changes the entire economic scale for
Rick,
how you.
I have to interrupt because we are going over time.
Okay,
So,
I wanted to
yeah.
cover this quickly, so I'm pretty much done.
Okay, yeah, sure. I didn't want to interrupt. Okay, so Renee is going to share with us a video, and we're going to go on a quick break because Doreen will come on at 3. Now, if you all want to just stay on, we can do that, and maybe Lauren, you can share your slides, and we can wait till 3. What does everybody want? Do you need a break, everybody, or do you want to keep going?
I want to see Lauren's slides.
Me too. Okay, so Renee, go. We want Renee to just share a video just to revive us. Thank you, Rick. That was excellent.
Yes.
Connect
I'm sorry.
with everybody.
I'm going to have to leave at this point, actually, because I have a deadline on another book project today. So.
Well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yes. All right. So we'll let Renee do a video, and then we'll come back to Lauren, and then come back to Rainey to wrap us up, and then we'll go to Doreen. Does that sound like a plan? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, let's see if I can get it right this time.
Okay.
My screen. All right, this is a